We got to stop this from happening. We got to stop this from spreading. Tennessee has a bill that allows foster children to be incarcerated for nothing other than being a foster child. This bill is being backed by the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. I'm going to get into this story, put it at full mass. A bill backed by the Tennessee Department of Children's Services would allow some foster children to be placed in juvenile detention facilities, jail, even if they have never been charged with a crime. DCS said the bill is about safety for children and for workers. Put up the commissioner. She is the commissioner of Tennessee's Department of Children's Services. Remember, they're backing the bill. Keep her picture up. Her name is Margie Quinn. They're backing the freaking bill. They're backing the bill. They are supposed to be advocates for children, but they have become policy pundits for the actual people who are in charge, who do not give a damn about the children. So right now, only children charged with a crime can be held in a juvenile detention center. That sounds like the way it should go. And I promise you, many of them shouldn't be there in the first place. But at least that's your prerequisite to get in. There's more. The proposed legislation, however, would create a new classification of foster children called, quote, children in need of heightened supervision, which would allow court to send those children to a juvenile jail. Put a picture back up, please. This story is obviously near and dear to my heart because I was a foster child. And I went through many different foster homes in the state of Georgia. It wasn't great then, and it's not too much better today, despite the advocacy of people around this state, including myself. We do what we can. The system is already broken. But to suggest that in order to fix your facilities issue or your adoption ratio issue, you are going to pass a bill to incarcerate a foster child when the whole idea is to keep them out of the prison damn pipeline. The whole idea. Once a child has that classification, DCS could place them in the most secure jail-like facilities in the state by law. Facilities that have barbed wire, facilities that have cells that lock. It is jail. Yasmin Miller, an attorney with the National Nonprofit Youth Law Center, Miller said the placement could make youth ineligible for extension of foster care benefits because they are technically incarcerated, which all of a sudden another law kicks in that would disenfranchise the youth that's already disenfranchised by not having parents. Like housing, they'll be disenfranchised from it. Education assistance, you're incarcerated. We know you didn't commit a crime, but you're in jail clearly. And the rule is, if you're incarcerated, we can't help you. Here's how it's being justified. DCS Legislative Director Jim Lehman defended the bill, saying some foster children in the agency's care act out violently. Quote, we have an issue where we are receiving children into custody that are dependent and neglected, Lehman said. Quote, the court has ruled them dependent or neglected, but their behaviors don't match what you think are an abused or abandoned, neglected child. Lehman said, Lehman, were you abused and neglected? Until you are, you will have no idea how a child is supposed to act if they have been. There's more. DCS Commissioner Margie Quinn. said violent children need to be held accountable. Quote, that lack of accountability gives rise to additional violent behavior, Quinn said. The bill comes 2 years after DCS quietly changed its policy to allow abused and neglected children to be handcuffed. They're lazy. They are incompetent. I'm talking about the adults in the room. They're lazy. They're incompetent. They don't want to fix it. They just want to have a fix, and they're moving on. They don't care. These children are, ma'am, you said children are what? Bad? Come on, man. Mm. You called the children that you protect, you use the term violent children. That's the term you use, ma'am. And you are in charge of the child agency. Now, if you can't see them for their humanity, you can't convince somebody else to see their humanity. And that's a big part of the whole job, is to make sure that no one counts them out. You all have no idea the talent, the love, the compassion, the will that these young people have to survive, to thrive, to be great. But you got to give them opportunity, and a chance in hell is not a chance. Criticism, Vanderbilt law professor. Vanderbilt law professor Cara Saval said the bill creates a system that lacks the protections typically afforded to young people in the justice system. Quote, is basically a shadow juvenile justice system without the clarity and without the specificity and without protections for young people. The attorney said, quote, I don't know of a single other state that is handling this issue this way, so it's pretty shocking. It's a pretty shocking proposal. And I want to say this, juvenile detention centers and the juvenile justice system is not contextualized in traditional law enforcement or justice. It is considered to be a civil process and a civil court. That is how the Supreme Court views juvenile delinquency. This is why your juvenile record does not make it into your adult record. It is not the same system. But you want to put children in jail who already are facing a prison by being a child that the mother and the father do not want or can't be responsible enough for. Damn. It's the reason why nobody else is doing this, Tennessee. All right, yeah, some thoughts.
Yeah, you have to wonder, is the point to keep the kids out of the prison pipeline? Because a lot of people make a lot of money off of keeping people incarcerated. So what we're gonna see is we're gonna have a recidivism issue for people who never should have been in the prison system in the first place. So that's it's looking great. People who are doing this, these are the same people who keep telling women to have children that they can't have, or they don't want, or they can't afford. The people who have stripped all of our social and communal programs like daycares and public schools and after school programs and food aid programs and other government aid, et cetera, all things that would have at least helped to support these children or these families. These are the same people who now want to incarcerate foster children. They're the same people who don't want to deal with the mess that they helped to create. And they helped to create this problem intentionally. Like they knew what they were doing. Either they had zero foresight or they just didn't care about the problems that would inevitably come down the line. And these are problems that people like progressives have been talking about for a very long time. And these are the solutions that they've come up with to deal with their problem, because it seems like despite occupying the positions that they do, these people who created this problem don't want to do the work now to resolve the issue in any kind of reasonable or really any kind of humane way.